I think there's a lot of misconceptions around acquiring, that it's going to cost too much, that I don't have the money to do it, that there's no way they would sell. And yeah, it's just not even a thought in their mind, like, oh, I'm going to buy a business like that. That's good. It's not realistic. And so I want to talk about how to approach growth by acquisition. We talked about profits versus multiple a little bit already. What else do you think has to change in the business owner's mindset to think we're going to go and acquire that business next door or down the road?
Well, you have to have purpose and understand why you're doing it. That's the number one thing. And then you have to be cautious about what you're buying and do due diligence in that. Not only legal due diligence, make sure everything's buttoned up right, but one reason people want to acquire maybe a competitor is they want to buy their customer list. They think, well, I'll get access to 500 more customers. Well, you have to know, why does that person you're buying have those customers? Also, why are they selling? Mm-hmm. And quite often it's because they're not making any money.
Right.
And so you have to look at the customers and say, I'll get those customers. Well, maybe they got the customers because they're the low price consumer or producer. Mm-hmm. And you are not the low price producer. So you try to assimilate those customers into your business, and you find out they drop like flies going to the next guy who's the low price. So understanding what you're getting in terms of customers as an asset. They're not really an asset, but we all know what we're talking about. You need to know the capital that will be required to run that business. So you need to have an understanding of working capital, and understand what it's going to take, what resources you're going to have to dedicate, the people that are coming along. If a lot of times a seller does not want to tell his or her employees that they're thinking of selling, right? And if that's the case and you're buying something and your employees of your target company don't know about the sale, you're acquiring some serious problems. They need to know about the sale, and they need to be enthusiastic about it, and they need to see why joining your company benefits them, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another thing you need to make sure of, is that the team knows about it. That usually comes later in the process, not, of course, during the early acquisition discussions, but certainly before you close the deal. It's a little bit the same thing, but it's cultural assimilation. If you run your company as efficiency and everybody likes it and they love being productive, and you've created that culture in your business, and you bring in somebody where everybody comes in whenever they want to, they're running their own fiefdom. Yeah. They have their own project. Don't mess with me. There's going to be a clash when you try to assimilate those two cultures. It could be as simple as something as software. We use this software, and that's what we use. And in the cabinet business, I know for a fact there are a lot of Cabinet Vision and Microbellum and others that I can't even remember. And you use a completely different system.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's going to have to learn a new system, right? So you need to consider those types of things.
Yeah.
I think the cultural assimilation and operating capital are probably the two most difficult.
Yeah, those are huge cautions. And I think you mentioned customer list. I think it's not even just about understanding why those customers are at that company rather than yours, whether it's price or whatever, but if they are actually up to date still. Some of those customers might be 10 years old, and you've got this great list and you're excited to have them and to be able to work with them, or maybe they have a personal relationship with the customer. It could be anything. And then you get the list and none of them really want to work with you. And if that's the reason you were buying the business, maybe that's shot.
Well, hopefully that and the other assets you're buying, like machinery and equipment and inventory, not hopefully, you're crazy if you write a check before you've verified all those things.
Exactly.
And that's literally what due diligence is.
Yeah.
You can have typically get maybe a 3-month period where they agree not to sell to somebody else, and you get to come and inspect what you're buying and make your decision and make adjustments if necessary.